If you've been diagnosed with age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, or diabetic retinopathy, you need to watch this. I'm about to say something that will probably shock you. It totally shocked me when my mum was diagnosed and told that she was going to go blind, or that she could go blind, that her sight was deteriorating and there was nothing that she could do. And what we learned when we looked into it is some of the foods that you're eating every single day could be making you blind. Now, before you roll your eyes and click away thinking this is clickbait, hang tight because this is real. If you stick with me, I'll explain how 4 of the most common causes of blindness in the UK are connected to what is on your plate. Let's look at the big 4. The 4 biggest causes of blindness in the UK are age-related macular degeneration. This is the top cause of vision loss in the UK. In fact, it accounts for a whopping 48% of all cases of sight loss among registered blind or registered partially sighted. And it's the same story worldwide. AMD is robbing people of their sight left and right. And as I'll explain later, it's not caused by age. The second biggest cause of blindness is glaucoma. Now, glaucoma makes up 16% of all registered cases of blindness. And what makes it worse is that often people don't know they've got it until it's too late. The third biggest cause of blindness is cataracts. That's number 3 on our list, causing about 12% of the sight loss in the UK. It's the reason everything starts looking hazy and foggy, like you're behind a dirty windshield. And the 4th is diabetic retinopathy. In actual fact, this is the 4th in the UK, and it's the leading cause of blindness among American adults. So 4 causes of blindness, all preventable. And doctors might not tell you that they're reversible. In fact, doctors usually will tell you that they're progressive, irreversible conditions. You'll get medication options, you may get risky surgery options, the surgeries don't always work. Doctors will usually tell you that there's nothing you can do to prevent it, there's nothing you can do to stop it, and there's nothing you can do to reverse it. And they make it sound like going blind is inevitable. And that's very scary, as you can imagine. But the truth, as you're guessing from the title of this video, is that all of these diseases are preventable, they're all stoppable, and some are even reversible. And the answer is so simple that I know that when I tell you, you're going to say, if it was that easy, why didn't my doctor tell me? Yes, all of these, all you need to do is cut down on sugar. Yes, sugar. It sounds so easy, but I promise you, this is exactly how it works. Why don't the doctors tell us? Well, the answer is a bit complicated. Pharmaceutical companies influence medical education and medical research. And pharmaceutical companies are heavily incentivized, of course, to sell us more drugs. Consequently, doctors receive very little training on nutrition, often just 1 day or less in 7 years of training. Hence, the impact of diet on health is vastly underestimated. However, there is medical research on this. This is known and out there, but this information is somewhat suppressed. Before insulin was developed as a treatment for type 1 diabetes, the only one to treat that fatal disease at that time was through a diet low in carbohydrates, low in sugar, and high in fat and protein. That diet allowed people to live for about another year after they'd been diagnosed. However, as type 1 diabetics, I should say, after insulin, the standard of care in the US and the UK and many other countries, it started to advise both type 1 diabetics and type 2 diabetics. It didn't advise them to do the low carb diet. Quite the opposite. We're advised now to eat healthy. And this healthy is based on very little lean meat, it's based on low fat, and it's based on healthy carbs. That advice is ruining our health. Almost 50% of us in the UK are diabetic and pre-diabetic, over 50% in America. And this leads us to so many chronic health problems. Today, we're talking about sight loss and blindness. Now, and what is the link between sugar consumption and sight loss? Humans were just not designed to eat sugar in the massive amounts we consume it today. We're drowning in a sea of sugar, and the constant sugar overload leads to a process in our bodies called glycation. Glycation is the glucoseation, the sugaration of our blood. It turns our blood from water-based to sticky and syrupy. Just what would happen if you poured sugar into water. It becomes sticky, and instead of being fluid, water-based, we've then got this sticky mass, and the glycation damages tissues in our body over time. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens over decades, and that's why it's mainly with older people you start to see these things happening. However, things like diabetes that used to affect older people are now happening in children. Things like age-related macular degeneration have started happening in younger people. This glycation is like rusting. So your body starts degrading, and this shows up in different ways, depending on where in your body the most glycation damage occurs. It can lead to autoimmune issues, skin issues, heart damage, and in fact, so many chronic diseases, nerve damage, infection, and even amputation of hands and feet. That just makes me so angry that today in 2024, we're still amputating people's hands and feet when they're suffering from something that's entirely reversible by diet change. Of course, I'm talking here about type 2 diabetes, but also it's true that type 1 diabetes can be better managed with less insulin using a low carb, low sugar diet. When I say low carb, really what I'm saying is low sugar, because all carbs are digested as sugar. And I'm going to come on to that. So diabetes, we treat it so casually, but it's a horrible, horrible disease that can lead to blindness, that can lead to amputation of hands or feet. And let's get back to blindness, because what we're talking about here is the glycation of the cells in your eyes. And many people say to me, but Steph, I don't eat a lot of sugar. So you might be thinking that right now, that doesn't apply to me because I don't eat a lot of sugar, but sugar is sneaky. Let me explain. To give you an idea, our blood can handle about 6 grams of sugar at any one time. That's a little bit over a teaspoon. But think about this. When we're told to eat healthy, we're told to eat healthy carbs. That should be taking up half of the plate. So we're told to eat, as well as fruit and veg, we're told to eat things like oatmeal. We're told to eat bread. We're told to eat rice. We're told to eat pasta. When you eat these things, they're broken down into sugar. They're digested as sugar. And that's where we've got a big problem. These so-called healthy foods are sugar. Let me introduce you to Dr. David Unwin. Now, David Unwin is a hero. He's a family doctor in the UK who's been turning heads with his research. He treats his diabetic patients with diet changes, and he's written research on it. Dr. Unwin created a brilliant infographic to show just how much sugar is hidden in everyday healthy foods. Take this example. What a lot of people would think of as a healthy breakfast. A small 30-gram serving of cornflakes, along with 2 small slices of wholemeal bread. Do you know how many teaspoons of sugar in that? Could you guess? It's 14 teaspoons of sugar in total. That's a mind-boggling 58 grams of sugar for breakfast alone, when our body is only designed to deal with 6 grams of sugar at any one time. So that's what I'm talking about when I say we're drowning in a sea of sugar. All those healthy breads, healthy rice, wholemeal, whatever, pita, pasta, we're surrounded in a sea of carbohydrates and it's all sugar to your body. We're drowning in sugar. And the irony is, when we make that choice instead of a full cooked breakfast, we think we're being healthy. We're following the healthy eating guidelines set out by the government. And Dr. Unwin's research shows that by cutting back on carbs, you can reverse diabetes. Yes, reverse. And you can stop the damage to your eyes and other parts of your body. And we're not talking about hundreds of patients. Dr. Unwin has actually worked with thousands of patients in his practice over the years, and the results are amazing. Diabetes organizations like Diabetes UK and the American Diabetes Association are funded by pharmaceutical companies. The advice they give on the Diabetes UK and American Diabetes Association includes advice like eat healthy carbs. And what they're saying with that is eat healthy sugar. Well, sugar is sugar, and that's bad advice if you're a type 1 or type 2 diabetic, especially because type 2 diabetes can be reversed on a low carb diet. And that is known, it's been well researched. It's known out there. So it's so frustrating that somebody like my mum could go to her doctor, be told she has glaucoma and her sight will deteriorate and she could go blind if it's left untreated. That's the end place. And she's not told by her medical professionals that she could stop the damage to her eyes by adopting a low carb diet. That's what made me want to put out Happy Sexy Health. I've explained today the way that sugar causes damage to your eyes over time, and that this constant overload of sugar causes all sorts of health problems, including the eye diseases we're talking about today, like AMD, glaucoma, cataracts, and diabetic retinopathy. Diabetic retinopathy, you can see it there in the name, diabetic retinopathy. They're all caused by high blood sugar. If you've been diagnosed with any of these things, age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, or diabetic retinopathy, a low carbohydrate diet, a low sugar diet can help you. So do not feel hopeless. These can absolutely be stopped in their tracks and in some cases reversed. And your type 2 diabetes can be reversed simply by cutting down on the carbs. Can you imagine it? Just by changing what we eat, we can improve our health massively. Once you stop bombarding your body with sugars, the sugars we all thought were healthy, I was there with you. Your body will stop that glycation, you'll stop that rusting, and eventually your body can start to heal. So why isn't this common knowledge? Why in 2024, with so much information at our fingertips, as ordinary people, why are our doctors not telling us this? I believe we need to have a ground up revolution. We need to be lions in fighting for our own health. We need to stop just following the government's diet advice, which has been so bad for our health. When 50 almost % of us have diabetes or pre-diabetes, we know it's not working. Eating all those so-called healthy carbohydrates is not helping us. And the pharmaceutical companies are making billions of these diseases because once you're on diabetes medication, it's a lifetime of drugs, tests, and surgeries. It's profitable. People are going blind, for heaven's sakes. People are having limbs amputated. People are living in discomfort and pain, all the while when a simple diet change can reverse diabetes. And I'm sure there are individual doctors who do want to help, but they're not getting the whole story in medical school. And most doctors get just a day or two of training on nutrition, if that. And those lessons are heavily influenced, as we said, by the food and the pharma companies who have a vested interest in keeping us eating processed foods and taking medications for life. But We're Happy Sexy Health. We're all about a vibrant health at every age, and it is possible. We all deserve this. I want this for us all, but we have to stop poisoning ourselves with these foods that were not designed with human health in mind. Many of them were designed with human profit in mind. I feel angry that our government and health service have consultations about these diabetic eye diseases, like the one that my mum had, and never mention that a low carbohydrate will stop this disease. A low carbohydrate diet will stop this disease from getting worse. And in some cases, the healing can even reverse it. It reminds me of that quote by Barry Groves: "Man is the only animal clever enough to manufacture its own food and the only animal stupid enough to eat it." We are animals. We are human animals, and we have a proper human diet. And that is a diet of real foods which meet all our nutritional needs and don't poison us. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, aka sugars, are poisoning us. So if you're wondering, what should I eat if carbs are out, if sugar is out, what should I eat? Good question. I was hoping you would ask. And I'm going to be covering that in the next video, where we're going to talk about the real nutritious foods that will give you energy, vitality, longevity for life. And it's probably going to surprise you. I don't think it's going to be what you think. If you're still here, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. And please, please, please share this with family and friends. It could be the one thing that saves their sight. Stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you in the next one, sexy people.